and start live.
Got it. So,
Well, Brian, I think maybe as a co-host, you have to start the live, which you do under the more at the bottom.
Yep. You know what? It's asking me for credentials that I don't have, Katie, so don't worry about it. That's fine.
Okay,
Just we'll have it recorded.
unless you want to switch.
It's fine.
We're all set then.
okay, so I'm calling to order the Norwalk Housing Corporation meeting. Attending myself, Kelly Bloom, David Westmoreland, and Mary Peniston. And staff, we have Katie, Brian, and Eugenia. Any public participation? Those two behind you, Kelly, want to make any comments? No? All right, seeing none, we'll go to item 4, administration, and it's to make a motion to approve the minutes of the January 11th meeting. Do I? Second?
So moved.
Second?
John, there's one correction. My name was misspelled at the end for moving the minutes. It's just one N for Peniston.
Okay,
I'll make that change.
Thank you, Katie.
You're welcome.
correction made. Do we approve the minutes with corrections made? All in favor?
Aye.
I'm going to abstain because I wasn't present.
Okay. In fact, if you're not present, you don't have to abstain, but I think it's a cool move. Okay. Next, we go to the financials. And there's a statement of revenues and expenditures and balance sheets for all funds year to date through the end of the year. I'll turn it over to Eugenia.
Thanks, John. For the period ending December 31st, Norwalk Fund 400 had $6,000 in revenue and $8,000 in expenditures, which resulted in a net operating deficit of $2,000. The balance sheet for this fund had assets of $417,000 and liabilities and net assets of $417,000. The Norwalk Revolving Loan Fund 450 had $1,000 of a net operating surplus, which is interest income from notes. And this fund has $138,000 in assets and $138,000 in liabilities and net assets.
Okay. Any questions about the expenditures and balance sheets? Seeing none. All in favor of approving?
Could I just ask for one correction? When it's consolidated, the labels on it aren't clear. I forget which page of the package it was, but it says that it's the second quarter for all entities combined. Is it that?
Now, this is the way, Mary, this is the way we present it. It's usually, we have two funds in the Norwalk Housing Corporation. Let me read. Yeah, these are the two funds that exist for Norwalk, and we have the operating statement and the balance sheet.
Yes,
Okay.
I know that they're two different funds. I'm looking at the one, but on both of them, I'm just not clear about the labels, about what time period I'm looking at. So I have.
Oh, it's right here. It's from July 1st, 2021 to December 31st, 2021.
But then above it, it says second quarter
That is our second quarter.
for 6 months.
We have the first quarter ending September, and the second quarter ends in December.
Okay, I'm so sorry to be thick-headed. It's just you're showing 6 months and then labeling it as a quarter. So that was confusing to me. I apologize. I didn't
Oh,
get
I'm
it.
sorry. I thought, it also says on the next two lines there, it says July 1st through December, and we always just go by that. And that's just the way it was set up to, run these reports. It was
Okay, so
always
since I'm
just-
the newbie, I just got confused. So I
Okay.
asked because on the next one, it says when you look at the balance sheet, it just says second quarter, and then it just says as of 12/31. So for someone coming in that doesn't know, it's confusing.
Okay, sorry about that. Yeah. Yeah, our balance sheet is always as of a certain date, but
Right.
then the P and L, it goes from a date and to a date, covers.
Right. So it's really 6 months, not the second quarter.
Exactly.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions, observations?
I'm sorry, John, did you say?
I said I asked if there are any more questions
Oh, I'm sorry.
or observations. Seeing none, all in favor of approving?
Aye.
That's it for this meeting. Any other business we want to bring up? Old business, new business? Seeing none, motion to adjourn. I'll make the motion to adjourn. All in favor?
So moved.
No move.
Whatever.
Adjourn the meeting of Norwalk Housing Corporation. And we're now going to open the meeting of the Norwalk Redevelopment Agency. I'll call that meeting to order. Roll call, same as our previous meeting, plus Lisa. Good afternoon, Lisa. And there's no public participation, I don't think. Seeing no public participation, I'll go to item
No,
4,
there's none.
administration. Approval of the minutes of the January 11th, 2022 regular meeting. Do I have a motion to approve those?
So moved.
Moved by Mary. Any changes? No questions? No?
I wasn't at the
Okay.
meeting. I'm abstaining.
You're, okay, all in favor? Carries. Three yeses and any other vote abstaining? 2 abstentions. Okay, that minutes are approved. Then we go to B, financials, statement of revenue and expenditures and balance sheets for all funds year to date, December 31st. I'll turn it over to Eugenia again.
Thank you. Okay, for the 6 months ending December 31st, operating fund 100 had actual revenues of 652,000 versus a budget of 711,000, which resulted in an unfavorable variance of 59,000. This is due to lower CDBG grant revenue, which will be recouped over the remainder of the year. Total actual expenditures of 692,000 versus a budget of 718,000 resulted in a favorable variance of $26,000. This is due to favorable variances in administrative expenses of 20,000 and in personnel expenses of $6,000. The actual net operating deficit of 41,000 versus a budgeted deficit of $8,000 resulted in an unfavorable variance of $33,000. We go
Okay.
to the balance sheet for Fund 100, and as of December 31st, this balance sheet has $4,926,000 in cash, accounts receivable due to other funds and property. It had $1,665,000 in net loans receivable and other assets. This fund had $845,000 in deferred revenues, which will be earned when expended, and $3,468,000 in net assets. The financial statements of the other funds are also included in this package. There are no major variances except that the CDBG revolving loan fund 300 had an operating deficit of $94,000, which was reimbursed by the CDBG drawdown processed in January. And then the agency project fund 500, which had an operating deficit of $20,000, will be reimbursed by the city in the next billing of capital budget programs.
That's it. Any questions? Observations? Do I have a motion to approve the Norwalk Redevelopment Agency Statement of Revenues and Expenditures and Balance Sheets for all funds for the quarter ending December 31st? I'll move it.
So
All in
moved.
favor?
Aye.
Aye. Unanimous. Now, we're going to Fund 100.
Okay.
We'll
Okay, this is for the year-to-date period, January 31st, Operating Fund 100 had actual revenues of $764,000 versus budgeted revenues of $829,000, which resulted in an unfavorable variance of $65,000. This is mainly due to lower CDBG grant revenue, which will be recouped over the remainder of the year. Total actual expenditures of $811,000 versus a budget of $830,000 resulted in a favorable variance of $19,000, which is mostly due to a favorable variance in administrative expenses. The actual net operating deficit of $47,000 versus the budgeted operating deficit of $1,000 resulted in an unfavorable variance of $46,000.
Okay, any questions? Now, do I have a motion to approve Fund 100? So moved by David. All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous? Sends the financials. So we'll go to number 5, business. And it's the South Norwalk Train Station Area Study. And we're going to authorize the director to negotiate and execute a contract amendment for services related to the 2021 US DOT Rebuilding America Infrastructure with Sustainability and Equity grant program. So I'll turn it over to Brian. Give us.
All right, thank you very much. So what's before you tonight is in relation to a former grant proposal that we put in for the RAISE program. This is a US DOT sponsored grant funding program. We were unfortunately unsuccessful our first go around. If you recall, we engaged VHB to help us develop some of the more technical items of our grant proposal, including a benefit cost analysis, which is a rather extensive effort of modeling sort of the overall transportation benefits of your project as well as sustainability. We have a debrief scheduled with US DOT this Thursday to go over sort of their reactions and comments to our application. We're going to take that information and give it to, work with VHB and work through our grant proposal to make it more competitive. The issue is timing. So what you have before you tonight is really to enable me to negotiate and execute the agreement with them. I have a draft proposal for the services we think we need, but it's a bit of a moving target right now since we haven't been debriefed. And the reason being is that the grant deadline's April 15th. So we wanted to get authorization in advance. If we waited till next month when we had a better idea, we'd be well behind the 8 ball. There's a lot of work that needs to be done in a month once we find that out. The preliminary scope I have is about $30,000, $35,000. I actually expect that to be less. I don't think we should actually invest that much. So we'll be going, to minus that number to update our benefit cost analysis in accordance with other project adjustments that they're recommending. Also kind of trying to advance some of the designs. For Mary's benefit, I know you weren't involved with the original grant proposal. What we're proposing is for a $12 million project in the last go around to improve all of the streetscapes and infrastructure around the South Norwalk train station. So this is improvements to Martin Luther King Boulevard, Chestnut, Henry, Monroe. Also looking at some commuter parking expansion opportunities, as well as solar on top of and green infrastructure throughout the parking area and solar on top of the parking garage. We'll see what goes forth out of that. We want to be responsive to what DOT has indicated or is interested in funding. I am aware that there is $7.5 billion allocated just to Connecticut, or that was the estimate that was provided just this round. So I think there's going to be more funds available. But we just want to, kind of tee ourselves up, make us the most competitive and sort of engage VHB to utilize those services. So as I said, what you'll have before you tonight is basically allowing me to have that negotiation with them and then execute the contract once we have all of the inputs available.
I have a question.
Yeah.
As I drive down Martin Luther King Drive about 9:15 in the morning, going towards South Norwalk, the traffic is unbelievable with UPS trucks, etc. Adding all what we're thinking about doing around the station, are we going to widen that or change the lights or something along those lines? Is that part of what you're looking at now?
Exactly. It's exactly that. A lot of that is a signal modernization upgrades, minor widening, restriping. We did identify in the planning study a lot of increase in truck traffic based on some of the Amazon and increasing that sort of logistical service. So yeah, that's exactly what we're trying to mitigate with this grant. Should we be awarded the funds? We actually put in for the similar project to the DECD Community Challenge Grant, which we're expecting to know about March, April, hopefully this month or early next, to see if we're funded for that. And in a perfect world, we'd be able to kind of bring the two projects together and make the most out of it all.
So you make the road a little wider. You're going to take away from sidewalks or that small middle island, or what are we going?
Well, part of it, yeah, should we be awarded fund, part of it, we're going to go through a larger design process. So obviously involving, community input and the like. So we have conceptual designs, which include actual wider sidewalks, probably shaving a little bit off that median area. But also just some basic restriping and things that'll make the flow a little bit better, but also the signal optimization is the big thing to help over there. Also pedestrian improvements, the sidewalk, crosswalks and the like. But yeah, if you recall the presentation that was given at the planning committee meeting, they sort of did a model before and after, also modeling the impacts of the development, and kind of that was reflecting these mitigation things that we're talking about.
Okay. Any other questions? No? Seeing none, do I have a motion to authorize the executive director to negotiate and execute a contract amendment?
So moved.
Second? Lisa seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Carries. Any new business or old business? Brian, Eugenia? No?
No, thanks.
Good.
Okay. Well, after our long meeting last week, we're going to have a nice short one this week. Do I have a motion to adjourn? I'll make that motion. All in favor? Aye. So moved. And we are formally adjourned. Have a good evening, everyone.
Good night,
Thank you.
everyone.
Take care.
Thank you. Good night.
Bye.
Eugenia, you're going to need me on Friday?
Yeah, how about, is Thursday better for you or Friday? You let us know, whatever. You don't have to let me know now.
Yeah, I'll let you know later today.
Yeah, yeah.